Welcome back, everybody. I'm Randy. Of course, this is 5-5 Garage, and today we are just going to jump right into it. I am going to get you guys up to speed where we left off in the previous video, and then we're going to jump into the next one. Now, in the previous video, I started installing a set of gauges from AEM in my 2010 Mazda Speed 3. And during that install process, we got the O2 sensor installed, we got the boost sensor installed. I also installed a new vacuum box from Vibrant Performance, and I was able to get the wiring for those two sensors into the passenger compartment, and that is where the video left off. And today we're going to pick up right from there. Now, the wiring for the O2 sensor is plenty long, and it will reach to where I'm going to eventually put my gauges, but the wiring for the boost sensor is a little short. So today I'm going to try to extend that harness and make it where it'll actually fit and go where I need to go without any stretching. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, like I said, I've got the wiring to everything that I bought is already in the car, and the boost sensor harness is coming up a little bit short. But thankfully, when I bought my gauges used, it also came with the original wiring harness that went to that gauge. I'm going to start by cutting these wires and then trimming the lead that's in the car, and then breaking out my soldering iron, and hopefully all of this will work. So cross your fingers. Picking up where we left off yesterday, this is the wiring harness for the boost sensor. There is a green, black, and red wire that run to the sensor in the engine compartment. So I'm going to trim this line right here with enough room so I can solder back onto it, and then take the other harness, splice it in here, and then run it to the other side of the car. And then, as you can see right here, I have the older harness, and it's set up just like the one I've already installed. So I'm going to trim this one at the plug, and that should give me more than enough space to get this wire over to where I need it to go. As well, I'll get some of this extra tubing loom so I can protect the wires as I have to run it behind the console and everything. So I don't have to lengthen the power wires. There'll be plenty because they will be already on the driver's side of the car, and that is where the fuse box is, so I should be fine there. So as you can see on my spare harness here, I got my wires cut and I got them already stripped. I decided not to show you guys that because it's really not that interesting, but I wanted to speak of something before I continue on, and that is this is heat shrink tubing. And before I solder this, I'm going to go ahead and trim this to the size I need and slip it on before I solder these wires together. A common mistake that I have made multiple times in the past is I'll say, okay, I'm going to heat shrink these connections, and then I solder them together, and I'm like, oh, the heat shrink. And then it's like, oh, the heat shrink. Make sure to slide this on before you solder these connections. I also like to slide it down far so the heat from soldering the wires together doesn't prematurely start shrinking this. I've already got the wires in the car cut, and I'm about to begin to solder these together. But I thought I'd give you that little shrink tubing PSA. This is our new boost sensor wire harness, and as I've trimmed back this tubing loom a little bit, just enough so I can get enough room to where I can trim this. I have enough room to where I can solder this back on. And with the cut old harness, I have plenty of wire to be able to make it to the other side of the car. But if you're going to do this, just remember to give yourself more than enough room to solder this connection back on. Now, I've finished soldering my connections. I went ahead and used heat shrink tubing on those to protect those connections as best I could. I'm going to run another sheath of heat shrink tubing over this to cover this completely, and then this part of lengthening the harness is done. I have my finished harness connection. I soldered all the wires together, and then I put heat shrink on those, and then I put another little piece of heat shrink tubing where I joined both of the harnesses together. Now I have plenty of wiring harness to reach the other side of the car. I just now have to figure out some way to wire it through that maze over to the driver's compartment. Give you guys a look at my final product. There is the plug and the firewall, and I was able to wrap my cabling around, and in order to get to the other side of the car, I've had to remove the top of my center console so I could start and find a way to get the cable to the other side of the car. And I found a way over, and then I am going to run them up the other side, and they'll be over at the driver's compartment with plenty of space. Monster really packed the area behind the console. It took me a minute to find a way to get those wiring harnesses through, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to finish running the harnesses, and then I'm going to put this side of the car back together, and then I can work on the other side. Passenger side of the car is put together. Don't mind my smudgy fingerprints, I'll clean it later, but everything's back together, and there's no wires hanging anywhere. I was successfully, able to route them from the passenger compartment through this area of the center console, making sure to route around anything to make sure that I don't bind up on shifter linkage or anything of that nature. And my harnesses coming out under the steering column because my gauges are going to sit on the top of the steering column. And we're almost in the home stretch. There are a couple of things I need to finish up. I need to resolder the connections back onto the wiring harness that I modified. And then from there, it's just as simple as wiring up the power connections, which should be easy, and then mounting the gauge cluster on top of my steering column, and hopefully all of this will work. The next step you need to perform is to take off the upper steering wheel cover, and this literally just lifts off. It snaps on and snaps off, but just take your time because you don't want to damage in these clips, and fortunately I did not on mine. But this is what we're going to mount our gauge cluster to. And as you can see as well, I'll also be able to route my wires down behind the cover, and over to this side leads to the fuse box, so I'll be able to run all of my power connections behind here as well and keep all of the wires out of sight. What we have here are the two power harnesses going for the gauges, and what I've done is taken both of the power leads and ran them to one ADA circuit. I checked with the AEM website, and they said that this was acceptable, so I went on their recommendation, and hopefully I don't short anything out, but I don't think I'm going to short anything out. And as you can see, these are I think they call them the low rise mini fuses that match the fuses that are in there. I think I'm going to use the fuse for the cigarette lighter because I don't use it anyway, and that way I can just tap it in there and everything should be good to go. And I think that's a switched lead, so it will come on when the accessories turn on and then turn off, so it's not a hot lead where it will stay on all the time. So I'm going to finish up here. I have to figure out a way to route this to the fuse box and then figure out where I'm going to use for a ground location. I have gotten my ADA circuit properly installed. As well, there is a grade 8 bolt back there that runs through the chassis. I decided to use that as a ground so that when I put the cover on, everything should be there. Everything's all nice and tidy. There is the gauges on top of my steering column. I am going to have to rotate these in the cups. Probably do that after I make sure that everything's correctly hooked up, installed, and everything. But as you can see down low, no wires are shown. This is the cable to my access port. I need to reroute that. And on this side as well, there's no cable shown. So I got everything hooked up, and now it's the moment of truth when I see if it turns on. So cross your fingers, everybody. Here we go. And we got nothing. Huh. Which is interesting. So I'm going to check and make sure I got everything plugged in properly.
2 hours later.
I have checked my connections and double checked them. Everything is sound. I have used a multimeter to make sure that I was getting voltage on the wires, which I am. I double checked and verified my ground is good, and it is. But unfortunately, the gauges still will not turn on. So I am going to triple check things one more time just to make sure there's nothing that I might have missed or have done to make them where they won't turn on. And if that's the case, I will probably buy another set of gauges, a brand new set, and plug them in and see what happens. I did buy these gauges used, so it might be a situation there with something might have happened to them before I got a hold of them. So buyer beware when it comes to getting deals. I've learned my lesson. So I'm going to finish up here, clean up my car, clean up my garage a little bit, put some stuff away, start researching how much another set of gauges are going to run. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something, especially about how running wires into the inside of the car. Once you get some of the things out of the way, it's not that bad. That plug that's over there on the passenger side makes it much easier to get wires in and out of the passenger compartment into the engine compartment. So at least one good thing came out of this. I'm going to finish up here. Car's pretty much put back together, but I need to clean up the garage and figure out what I'm going to do next. But I will see you guys on the next one.